All right, so travel. We're talking travel today.
All right.
And we know that all of you listeners out there getting ready for the IELTS speaking test,
Sure.
and travel can be one of those tricky
Dense travel.
subjects, right?
It is.
But luckily, you've all got a great podcast episode to help you study up on the travel section. And we're going to help you unpack all the best strategies.
Okay.
So get ready, because we are about to do a deep dive and hopefully help you get a higher band score.
I think you said it best when you said it can be tricky because, like, it's a topic that everyone thinks, oh, travel, I got this. But there's a lot more to it than we might think.
And that's what's so cool about this podcast episode.
Yeah.
It really drives that point home right away.
Right.
They start off with the question, do you like traveling?
Right away.
Which seems like
easy peasy.
oh, yeah, super easy. But
Yeah.
you can't just say yes.
No, I mean, a simple yes is like a missed opportunity. You've got to think about, like, why you enjoy traveling.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Like, what is it about travel that you love? Is it experiencing new cultures? The excitement of trying different foods? Or maybe just like the chance to just escape your daily routine for a bit?
I love that. Like the why behind the yes.
Yes, the why behind the yes.
Yeah.
That's great.
And they even give some great examples of that in the podcast.
Oh, yeah, they did.
They said, like, things like experiencing new cultures or escaping the daily grind. Those are solid starting points. But to really, like, make your answer just shine,
Yeah.
you got to add a little personal touch.
A little anecdote.
Like, they gave a good example. They said, like, bringing that to life with a personal anecdote, like maybe walking through Rome's historic streets.
I have to admit, I tend to shy away from personal stories.
Really?
A little bit, yeah, because I always feel like I'm going to start rambling. It's going to get all messed up.
Right.
But hearing them talk about that Italy example made me realize that it's not about telling a whole long story. It's just using one little specific experience.
Right.
Yeah, to illustrate your point.
Exactly. It's like a well-placed anecdote can make all the difference.
Yeah.
Because it shows that you can connect the question to your own life.
Yeah.
Which is so much more engaging for the listener, or in this case, the examiner.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a great takeaway.
Awesome.
So moving on, they had tackled another question that comes up a lot. What type of places do you like to visit? And this is one where I feel like people could easily fall into the trap of just saying, like, oh, I like to go to the beach, and I've been to, Canada, and just sort of listing place.
Just listing off place.
The list of places.
Exactly. And the podcast stresses showcasing variety here.
Yes.
So, they gave a good example about someone who enjoys both the natural beauty of a place like the Maldives and the historical richness of somewhere like Athens.
Right. So it's not just...
It's about showing you're well-rounded.
Yeah, you're well-rounded. And I love that you're using the word showcasing, because it's really about that. It's not just what you say, but it's how you say it.
Exactly.
It's using that rich vocabulary. And I noticed in those examples, too, they used some great adjectives.
Yes.
They used breathtaking, mesmerizing.
Using descriptive language is key. Because it's not just about, like, conveying information. It's about painting a picture with words.
Oh, I love that.
Right.
I'm already starting to rethink some of my go-to travel stories because of this. All right, so the next question they covered, do you prefer traveling alone or with others?
Oh, good one.
Oh, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
Because
it can be tricky.
It's easy to lean too heavily to one side.
You hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah.
Because this is where you have a chance to showcase your ability to present a balanced argument.
Yes.
The podcast episode emphasized acknowledging the benefits of both solo travel and traveling with companions.
Oh, I liked the example they gave about a road trip with friends.
Oh, relatable.
Yeah.
It's so relatable.
It adds that touch of authenticity to the answer, too.
Yeah. For sure.
And it shows you've thought about both sides of the coin.
Yes.
Remember, the examiners are looking for evidence of critical thinking.
Okay, so it's not about...
It's about weighing those options.
Yeah, picking a side.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
All right, so the next question, the question that everybody loves. What is the most interesting place you've visited?
Oh.
This is where people can really,
let their personality shine.
Yeah, let their personality shine.
Yeah.
It's all about...
It's a fantastic opportunity to just use descriptive language and transport the listener, or in this case, the examiner, to that special place.
Oh, yeah. And I love the example that they used of Kyoto, Japan,
Yes.
and how it's this wonderful blend of traditional elements with the modern influences.
Perfectly blends. That's the perfect way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember they said, they used the phrases like, perfectly blends traditional and modern elements and serene gardens. It just really creates this vivid picture.
And, it's not just about, like, visually describing the place. It's about sharing, like, your personal connection to it.
Yes.
They even gave an example about participating in a traditional Japanese tea ceremony.
Oh, that's cool.
Which adds that layer of cultural depth.
Yeah, I'm starting to see how each of these answers builds on the previous one, too.
Yeah.
It's all about showing your language skills.
Yes.
And your ability to communicate effectively.
Oh, exactly.
So what was the next question?
Okay, so the next one was a little bit more philosophical.
Okay.
Do you think traveling is important?
Ooh.
And this is where you have a chance to demonstrate your ability to, like, think critically and express your opinions.
This one always throws me off a little bit because I think it's easy to fall into kind of
to be generic,
a generic answer. But this podcast episode really gave a nice framework.
Oh, they did. They did.
Yeah, for tackling this question.
Yeah.
So instead of just saying, yes, travel is important, they suggested talking about like all these different
multifaceted benefits.
Yeah, the multifaceted benefits of travel.
Okay.
Like broadening your horizons, developing essential life skills, and even like the positive impacts on mental health.
Exactly.
Wow, that's so much better than just saying, yes, it's important. And I also love that they used a specific example to illustrate how travel can foster those skills.
Yes.
Like they talked about getting lost in Paris.
Oh, yeah.
And how that experience helped them develop problem-solving skills and just boost their confidence.
That's such a great example because it's relatable.
Yeah.
And it adds credibility to the point.
Yes.
It shows that they're not just reciting memorized lines.
Exactly.
They're drawing on their own experiences.
That's what the examiners are looking for. Okay, what about the final question?
Okay, the last one was, how has traveling changed compared to the past? And this is where you can really flex your analytical muscles and show you can think critically about a topic.
I like that. Flex your analytical muscles.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, so they highlighted both the positive and negative impacts of modern travel.
Mm-hmm.
Like the convenience of technology.
Right.
Versus the downsides of over-tourism.
Oh, yeah. That's a great point.
Yeah.
And they used some good vocabulary here.
They did.
Over-tourism, Instagram-worthy spots.
Yes, and it shows you're aware of like the current trends and can use more sophisticated language.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Oh, this is gold. I feel like I'm already getting a much better sense of what the examiners are looking for.
Me too.
Now, I know this podcast also gave some very specific tips.
Oh, yeah, I did.
For acing part 1 of the IELTS speaking test.
Yeah, and those are some game changers.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
But before we jump into those, maybe let's just take a little pause.
Yes, let's take a pause.
And see what's resonating with you.
Okay.
What's standing out as particularly helpful?
Yeah.
Or maybe even surprising.
Yeah, what's hitting on for you?
Honestly, for me, it's that whole idea of showcasing a variety of ideas and experiences.
Yeah.
It's not just about like rattling off a list of places you've been to. It's really about demonstrating your ability to talk about different types of travel and engaging with the questions on like a deeper level.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the heart of what the IELTS speaking test is all about.
Yeah.
Demonstrating your command of the English language in a meaningful and engaging way.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so with that in mind, let's jump into those IELTS speaking part 1 tips.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Give me all the wisdom.
Get your notepads ready.
All right.
The first tip they emphasized was extending your answers.
Okay.
So don't just give a one-sentence response and call it a day.
Right, right. It's about going beyond just a simple answer and giving more context.
Precisely. Like they suggested, adding reasons and examples and details to really like flesh out your responses.
Yeah.
It's about showing that you can engage with the question in a meaningful way.
I get it. So it's not just what you say, it's how you say it.
Yes.
Okay, so that's tip number 1, all about depth. What's next?
Okay, tip number 2 focuses on using a variety of vocabulary.
Okay.
This is especially important for a topic like travel, which offers such a rich landscape of words and phrases to draw from.
Oh, yeah. I love a good vocabulary challenge.
Me too.
So what kind of words did they suggest we use?
Well, they highlighted words like explore, adventure, landmarks, scenic, itinerary, and even like over-tourism,
Oh, yeah.
which we discussed earlier.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Using words like these shows the examiners that you have a strong command of the English language and can express yourself effectively
Yes, it's like adding all the spices.
to
Yeah.
the dish.
I love that
It
analogy.
makes it so much more
It does.
flavorful.
Okay.
All right, what's tip number 3?
Okay, tip number 3 is all about fluency and coherence.
Okay.
So this means speaking smoothly and logically,
Mm-hmm.
even if you make like a minor grammar mistake here or there.
Okay, so it's more about the overall flow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And clarity of your speech,
Mhm.
rather than getting like hung up on tiny errors.
That's a relief to hear.
Right.
Because I think I was putting a little too much pressure on myself to like speak perfectly.
Yeah,
But it sounds like that's not the most important thing.
exactly.
All right, what's tip number 4?
Tip number 4 brings us back to something we've touched on a few times already, using descriptive language and examples.
Okay.
So they emphasize that specific details just make your answers so much more vivid and engaging for the listener.
Right, so it's like the difference between saying, I had a good time on vacation and like actually describing a
Yeah.
specific memory or experience.
Yeah. That made that trip memorable.
Exactly. Instead of just stating facts, try to paint a picture with words.
Yeah, okay, I can see that.
The examiners want to see that you can go beyond the surface level and really bring your experiences to life.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, what about tip number 5? What's the last one?
Okay, this one's arguably the most important of all. Practice speaking out loud.
Yes.
They stress that the more you practice, the more confident and natural you'll sound during the actual test.
I love that they said that. Because it's one thing to like understand these tips intellectually,
Right.
but it's another thing to actually like put them into practice.
Totally.
Yeah. So I'm going to make a point of practicing my answers out loud from now on.
That's the spirit. Remember, the IELTS speaking test is all about communication. The
Yeah.
more comfortable you are speaking English, the better you'll be able to showcase your skills and impress the examiners.
Okay, so we got all these tips. I feel like the one that I need to work on the most is extending my answers. Because I tend to be a pretty concise person in my everyday speech.
Yeah.
So do you have any advice for someone like me who's just used to getting straight to the point?
That's a great question. I think a lot of people struggle with that,
Yeah.
especially if they're not used to speaking in like a more formal setting.
Mhm.
One strategy that I found helpful is to think of it like building a pyramid.
Okay.
So you start with your main point that's like the tip of the pyramid, and then you add layers of detail to support it.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it makes it seem less daunting. So like maybe instead of just saying, I enjoy traveling because it's relaxing, I could add like a specific example.
Exactly. You could say something like, I find traveling incredibly relaxing. For example, last year, I went on a trip to the coast, and just listening to the waves crashing on the shore completely melted away all my stress.
Oh, wow.
You know?
That's so much better.
Right.
Yeah, I'm starting to see how adding those little extra layers
Yeah.
can really elevate my answers.
Totally.
What about the vocabulary part? Any tips for incorporating like, sophisticated language
No.
without sounding forced?
That's a great point. It's all about finding a balance.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to sound like you're just like throwing in big words for the sake of it.
Right.
Instead, focus on using vocabulary that feels natural to you
Yeah.
and that enhances the clarity and precision of your message.
Okay, so maybe instead of saying, I saw some cool stuff, I could say, I had the opportunity to explore some fascinating historical landmarks.
Perfect. That's a much more sophisticated way of expressing the same idea.
Yeah.
It shows that you have a strong command of the English language.
Awesome. I'm feeling much more confident already. This deep dive has been so insightful. So we've covered the questions from the podcast and those 5 fantastic tips.
We have.
What else did they talk about?
Well, they wrap things up with a really interesting question designed to make you think.
Oh, a question designed to make you think. I like it. What did they ask?
Okay, so they asked, how would you answer the question about the most interesting place you've visited? Ensuring it's both engaging and showcases your unique experiences.
Ooh, that is a great question.
Right.
Because it really forces you to think beyond just listing places
Yeah.
and really think about what made a particular destination stand out for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it challenges you to put all these tips into practice.
Yeah, I'm already starting to brainstorm.
Yeah.
I think for me, it would have to be that time I went backpacking through Southeast Asia.
Oh, wow.
It was just this whirlwind of,
Yeah.
vibrant cultures and incredible food and just these unforgettable experiences.
That sounds amazing.
And I even learned a bit of Thai along the way.
That's so cool. And it's a perfect example of how you can weave those personal touches into your answer.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, I went to Thailand,
Yeah.
you're giving the listener a glimpse into your unique experience.
Oh, and I bet I could even tie it back to some of the things we were talking about earlier, like stepping outside my comfort zone.
Yeah,
Right.
totally. And broadening my horizons.
Absolutely.
It was definitely a trip that pushed me to grow in
Yeah.
ways I never expected.
See, you're already a pro. You're thinking about those deeper levels of meaning and connecting your experiences back to the core themes of travel.
That's what we like to hear.
That's what the examiners are looking for.
This deep dive has been so insightful. I feel like I have a much better grasp of the travel topic now and how to approach it strategically
Yes.
for the IELTS speaking test.
Yeah.
I'm actually excited to talk about travel now.
Yes. That's the best feeling. Remember, confidence is key. The more you practice and familiarize yourself with these tips, the more prepared and self-assured you'll feel on test day.
Absolutely. And to all of our listeners out there who are prepping for the IELTS, we are cheering you on. Go out there and rock that speaking test.
Bon voyage. Best of luck.